Hello drummers! Welcome to this mini free beginner lesson where today I'm going to show you something I've called the hi-hat push. It's a 16th note right hand pattern you can play on the hi-hat in these examples, but anywhere on the kit if you wanted to. And it's really a sort of a slow speed, something that a beginner can get their teeth into from an early start. But to speed it up and play faster obviously requires a little bit more skill, a little bit an intermediate, more advanced level. But there's no reason why a beginner can't have a go at some of these drum beats at a slower speed. And certainly they appear in a lot of songs at a slower speed. So what I'm talking about is in the first example. By the way, you can download the free PDF. I've got 5 examples in this lesson. Download this from my website for free. You'll find a link beneath this video. And really, we got the bass drum, snare drum, 1 and 2 and 3. Just keep it simple to start off with. We're really focusing on what the right hand is doing. And it's playing this rhythm. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And just like a previous lesson where I talked about the bass drum push, which you'll find a link up here in the video. I'll put a link up somewhere and also down in the description as well, where you were playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and or 1 and 2 and 3 4 and, where you're pushing into the snare drum. In this example, we're just pushing into every beat. 1 and, that's what it feels like to me anyway. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and gives the groove forward momentum. So with the bass drum and snare drum, we get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And as you speed it up, you've got to get relaxed. Again, the intermediate, more advanced drummer will be able to play this at the speeds I'm about to show you. But you've really got to feel like the wrist is doing a lot of the work for you. At these slower speeds, then you can sort of get where we're just using the wrist for all 3 notes. You'll see what I mean as you speed up. Have a go and see how fast you can take it. Anyway, here's the groove from slow to fast. So continuing with that idea, in beat 2 I've given you the same hi-hat pattern, but this time I've added some extra bass drum notes. In fact, all 4 of the next examples are basically the same hi-hat pattern, but just playing around with what the bass drum's doing. Of course, you could also play around with the snare drum as well and move that snare drum backbeat around, experiment with that. But this next example sort of gives you an idea of playing the bass drum on 3 and, so on the last note of the 3 notes and on the first note of the next 3 notes. So we're playing 3 and 4. So just to get it, it's about getting some coordination going and some muscle memory. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And up to speed. So for beat 3, we got another very common bass drum pattern, drum beat kind of idea, but with this 16th note hi-hat pattern going across the top. We've got the bass drums falling on the and of 2 and the and of 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Here we go. So for beat 4, I've included some extra bass drum notes, one of which falling on the of beat 3, just before the snare drum, which is the example I gave you in the bass drum push example, which again, I'll put a link up here if you want to check that one out. So we got 1 and 2, just for a bit of variation at the beginning of the bar. But then the tricky bit is the 3 and 4. And if you're being consistent, you've got to have that bass drum come down exactly with one of those hi-hat notes, with the of beat 3. And 4. And 4. So we get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3, By the way, when you're practicing these, don't just speed up like I'm doing there. Stay at one tempo for a while and then choose another tempo slightly faster once you feel comfortable and play that for a while. Don't try to speed up as I'm showing you here. I'm just, for time's sake, doing this. Anyway, here's what that cool drum beat sounds like up to speed. So for beat 5, I got the opposite idea. Again, taking an idea from another previous lesson I did called the bass drum drag, which is, you might have guessed it just from the title, it's where you're dragging after the snare drum instead of pushing into it. So in this example, we got bass drums on 3 and, but then we got a bass drum falling on the E of beat 4 after that snare drum, which actually happens to fall in between the hi-hat notes. This is our first example where the bass drum is falling in between what the right hand is doing. So a little bit more advanced, but hopefully if you play it slowly and get comfortable with it, you should be able to speed it up. So slowly, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and 4 E and Hopefully when you start speeding up, your right hand sort of goes on autopilot. You can start then just to focus on where the bass drum's falling. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E. A lot of fun to play that. Okay, here we go.